Hello, gamers! Welcome back to Power Builds! You guys tell I discovered the echo function on Premiere Pro. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Anyway, today we are going to be doing a build that I've been working on for a little bit. I've definitely think I've figured out exactly how I want to play it, and how I want to run it, how I want to make it. And that is my control build. If you speak to anybody in the optimization scene, they will usually tell you how good control casting is, but I don't think a lot of people have a good appreciation for how good it is because, you know, damage numbers are fun. I too fall victim to this. Don't worry, you are not suffering alone. We all like big numbers, okay? But control builds are really, really powerful, and I really wanted to show one off today. That is probably one of my more simple builds, a little more straightforward, but it is deceptively good in how it works. Here's the character sheet. If you want access to it, aka you want to use it in your games, if you want to use it as a character that you can play, I obviously can't stop you from just making what I made and then building it how you want. But if you want the full character sheet and you want to look at it and go through the features bit by bit on your own time, please join my Patreon. I post the character sheets as PDFs, and I post the Hero Forge link so that you can look at the character model that I create, and overall just have fun with the character in your own way. Also, my patrons get my videos 24 hours early. Please join if you can. It's only $3 a month, and it does a great job at helping out this channel. It helps me grow, and it helps me continue to pursue this as my career. But let's get into the build, baby! This control build is simple. It is a Bard 18 Wizard 2, and the specific Bard is College of Eloquence, and the wizard is divination. Also, look at this model. Look at those stilettos, baby. He's fabulous. This guy didn't just go down to Georgia. He went downtown, baby. He's a material girl. But why is this build specifically really good? So there's a few things about this build that I want to go through. So first of all, there's a few important feats that I've taken. Moderately armored, increase your dex strength or dex score by 1. We increased our dex and we gain proficiency with medium armor and shields. This allows us to use a breastplate as well as a shield in our offhand. We also have Warcaster and Resilient Constitution to help maintain our concentration saving throws. Warcaster also has the unique ability, if someone leaves our area and provokes an opportunity attack, we can cast a spell as an opportunity attack as long as it has a casting time of 1 action and only targets that creature. So the moderately armored is so that we can get our armor class up just because we don't have a really good dex. And we also, shields are good. Having a shield is really good in this game, and so this way when we use shield, the spell, we now have an armor class of 23 effectively. That is a really good armor class to have, meaning that as a whole, we're going to be a lot harder to hit than potentially our Dungeon Master would like us to be. We're going to be a lot harder to hit than our Dungeon Master would like us to be. Additionally, we have a +5 to initiative, so we're going to be moving quite quickly. Let's get into how this build exactly works. We're going to be taking advantage of a few features. We're going to be taking advantage of Mystic Arcanum. We've chosen Wish as that spell. We are going to be taking advantage of our Bardic Inspiration, specifically the College of Eloquence feature, Unsettling Words. As a bonus action, you can expend 1 use of your Bardic Inspiration, choose 1 creature you can see within 60 feet. Roll the Bardic Inspiration dice, 1d12. The creature must subtract that number rolled from the next saving throw it makes before the start of your next turn. So that feature is obviously extremely good and extremely useful. That means that as a bonus action on our turn, we can pick some person that we're going to be targeting with our big control spell. Could be a big boss, it could be one of many minions. Hit them with that and we can subtract a d12. D12s are, the average of a d12 is 7. So whenever I say d12, think 7. So when I say I'm going to be subtracting a d12 from your next saving throw, it means I'm subtracting roughly 7 from your next saving throw. In case you didn't know, that's a lot. It's obviously not always that. It can be more or less, but that's the average. That's what we're working with. We work with averages when we're power building. Additionally, we have a +5 in charisma, meaning that our spells, we have a 19 save DC for our bard spells, +11 spell attack, +5 modifier, and 5 uses of our Bardic Inspiration. And now this is going to combo with another feature that we have, specifically one of our wizard features, the infamous Portent. Portent is really good. Portent is really good. Portent is exceptionally good. What it allows you to do is the following. When you finish a long rest, roll 2 d20s and record the numbers rolled. You can replace any attack roll, saving throw, or ability check made by you or a creature that you can see with one of these foretelling rolls. You must choose to do so before the roll, and you can replace a roll in this way only once per turn. Each roll can only be used once. This is really good. So big problem with Portent as a whole is that it's a random feature. However, our save or suck build has 2 modes that allow us to use these Portent rolls as effectively as possible. Essentially, on any given day, you can assume, on average, that 1 roll is going to be above 10 and 1 roll is going to be below 10. This is a pretty safe assumption when we're designing this character. That's kind of how the function of this character works. So with that roll that's above 10, you are going to be using that roll to support your party. You're going to be using that one to support your party, whether it be giving them a good attack roll or potentially giving them a good saving throw. The rolls that are below 10, we're going to be using offensively, and I will explain how later. Additionally, there's a few other things that we have that are going to help us do what we want. We also have Unsettling Inspiration. When a creature adds 1 of your Bardic Inspiration dice to its ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, and the roll fails, the creature can keep the Bardic Inspiration dice. This just increases the longevity of our Bardic Inspiration when we're giving it to allies. Additionally, we have Infectious Inspiration. When a creature within 60 feet of you succeeds on an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw that adds your Bardic Inspiration die, you can use your reaction to give a Bardic Inspiration die to a different creature that can hear you within 60 feet other than yourself, without expending any of your Bardic Inspiration uses. You may use this feature 5 times per long rest. This feature essentially gives us more dice for free. Now, we already get our Bardic Inspiration back on short rest, meaning that we're going to be getting a lot of uses of our Bardic Inspiration throughout the adventuring day. You can safely assume, due to if we use the DMG for how many short rests we're getting per day, 2 per day, so that means 15 uses of Bardic Inspiration per day. This essentially adds an additional 5 uses of Bardic Inspiration, essentially meaning 20 effective uses. And now, on top of that, we're going to be doing another thing, and that is our wish. What are we wishing for? What else do you wish for? Simulacrum, every single time. Well, not every time. There's obviously other times when you wish on other stuff. For instance, if you already have a Simulacrum. But other than that, you're going to be usually wishing for Simulacrum. The main reason for this is because Dungeons & Dragons is a game of resource management. If you have more resources, your resources are managed better. This means that we have double the Bardic Inspiration and double the Portent rolls. What used to be 2 is now 4 Portent rolls, meaning we can now do the following. Any of our ridiculous spell list. I have chosen these spells to emphasize and encourage our ability to control the battlefield. There's a ton of spells here, but there's a few that I should note. There's a lot of standard stuff like Absorb Elements and Shield, but there's also some unique stuff like Bane. I chose Bane specifically because it increases our ability to affect our opponent's saving throws. Up to 3 creatures of your choice that you can see within range must make a Charisma saving throw. Whenever a target that fails this saving throw makes an attack roll or saving throw before the spell ends, the target must roll a d4 and subtract the number rolled from the attack roll or saving throw. This is a very good feature. This is a really good spell for just something that's a little bit lower level. We could pick Bless. Bless is also really good but it's a buff to our team. This is just enough more offensive version of Bless, and it adds to our ability. Now we could potentially be subtracting a D12 and a D4. A D4 is roughly on average 2.5. A D12 is roughly 6.5, meaning that we are on average subtracting 9 from our opponent's saving throws. Isn't that great? For our second level spells, we have Hold Person. Paralysis is really good. It allows your melee fighters to instantly crit on the target that is currently being held. We have Counterspell. Counterspell is necessary. It's one of our magical secrets. You need this spell. It's too important not to have. We also have Dispel Magic, the underutilized baby brother of Counterspell. Dispel Magic is also really good. If you or one of your friends is under the effect of a debilitating effect, for instance, some sort of charm spell, dominate person, they are paralyzed with Hold Person, Dispel Magic is the perfect way to get rid of it. Relying on saving throws might not always be a good option, so having Dispel Magic can be critical in your kit. We additionally have the creme de la creme of control spells, Hypnotic Pattern. You create a twisting pattern of colors that weaves through the air inside a 30-foot cube within range. The pattern appears for a moment and vanishes. Each creature in the area who sees the pattern must make a Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature becomes charmed for the duration. While charmed by this spell, the creature is incapacitated and has a speed of 0. The spell ends for an affected creature if it takes any damage, or if someone else uses an action to shake the creature out of its stupor. Incapacitating people is good. You know, it's a great way to get people out of a fight? Incapacitating them. An incapacitated creature can't take actions or reactions. That's good. This means that they can't use their actions, their bonus actions, their reactions, their legendary actions. They are screwed. This is a spell that a dungeon master has to use a legendary resistance on, and if they don't have legendary resistance on, they're screwed. Hypnotic Pattern is awesome. Definitely use it. Definitely use it if you have the ability to. We also have Slow. Slow is the other half of this. Now, between you and your simulacrum, you can have both of these spells up at once. You alter time around up to 6 creatures of your choice in a 40-foot cube within range. Each target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be affected by the spell for the duration. An affected target's speed is halved. It takes a -2 penalty to AC and dexterity saving throws, and it can't use reactions. On its turn, it can use either an action or a bonus action, not both. Regardless of the creature's abilities or magic items, it can't make more than 1 melee or ranged attack during its turn. If the creature attempts to cast a spell with a casting time of 1 action, roll a d20. On an 11 or higher, the spell doesn't take effect until the creature's next turn, and the creature must use its action on that turn to complete the spell. If it can't, the spell is wasted. A creature affected by the spell makes another wisdom save at the end of each of its turns. On a successful save, the effect ends for it. Do you see how that spell might be a problem for a dungeon master in a campaign where spells are a thing? That's brutal. Not only is it a -2 to AC and dexterity save, not only can they only use an action or a bonus action, not only can they not use reactions, that means no counter spells, they also, they only have a 50-50 chance of casting a spell on any given turn. That is brutal. This spell ruins the action economy of the dungeon master. This spell is an excellent must-have tool in my opinion for any control caster. It's one of the many excellent control spells out there. And between your simulacrum and you can have both Hypnotic Pattern and Slow up at the same time. This is shaping up to be a really unfortunate time for your dungeon master. Hey, quick thing. In this, I forgot to click additional features for the Bard stuff. So you actually don't need to take Slow via Magical Secret, as you see in this video. It can just be on your spell list. I would replace Shatter, which is a 2nd level spell, with Slow, so you can have Slow instead of Shatter, which I think is great. And for your Magical Secret, I would pick up the spell Sickening Radiance. It is also an excellent control spell. Applies effects of exhaustion, which is a great way to slowly start eating away at your dungeon master's monsters as a whole. Remember, at 4 levels of exhaustion, the target has half of its hit points. At 3, it has disadvantage on all attack rolls and saving throws. You and your simulacrum together can apply 2 at once. This is a very good way to start chewing away at your dungeon master's monsters. So I just wanted to put that in there. Back to the video. And you might say, well, I never get those control spells off. That's why you have your Portent and your Unsettling Words. Remember what I said? You can usually assume that one of your rolls is going to be below 10. Now, this obviously isn't going to happen every day, but on average, there's a 50-50 chance. You are rolling 2 dice. You have roughly you have a 75% chance of one of those dice being less than 10. In the same way that you have a 75% chance of one of your dice being more than 10. Both of these options are good for you. You can use the high rolls to help your friends. You can use the low rolls to screw over your enemies. And with your simulacrum, you get 2 extra portent rolls. You get 2 extra portents. They're the same as your rolls, but you do get them. So let's say we have a roll that's below 10, and we're using this on an enemy like the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon has legendary resistances, as well as a bunch of wisdom saving throws. Like I said, Hypnotic Pattern, Slow, those are not spells that you as a dungeon master want to have attacking you. You need those spells to not be affecting you more often than not. So you are willing to waste your legendary resistances on those spells. But it's often a problem of how do we get through those legendary resistances? Well, with a roll that is less than 10, let's say, be generous, it's 10. You've affected them with Unsettling Words. That's minus a d12. 10 minus 7 on average. That's a 3. That is a 3. The Demogorgon, specifically, at least as of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, I'm not sure if they redid it for the Multiverse of Madness or whatever the hell they're calling it. The Demogorgon has a plus 11 to wisdom saves. That puts this Demogorgon's wisdom save at a 14. You gave them a 10, subtracted 7, and now they have a 14. And now they are hit with one of the most debilitating spells. They're hit with 2 of the most debilitating spells in the game, unless you force a legendary resistance. That's 2 legendary resistances gone. Turn 1. That is a brutal thing to be on the receiving end of a dungeon master. Not to mention, you still have 4 uses of Unsettling Words on the way. Now, getting through legendary resistances is not always a great strategy. Dealing with single targets is not this build's strength. It's obviously good at control and en masse. So how does having all of these portents and unsettling words and whatnot help you against tons of targets? Well, between you and your simulacrum, you can affect 4 separate creatures at once between your unsettling words, your portent rolls. Meaning that if you have a group of, say, 4 enemies, you can spend your turn, you can use your bonus action to hit one of them with unsettling words, and then use your action to take the ready action to cast a spell. Simulacrum then goes immediately after you, unsettling words on a different creature, and then casts a spell. You can now choose whether or not you want to affect them with Hypnotic Pattern or Slow, but then you can both use your portents on the 2 creatures that you haven't affected yet. And creatures that are usually in mobs don't have the greatest saving throws. So now you have brought down the saving throws of 4 creatures, and now those 4 creatures are under the effects of Slow or Hypnotic Pattern, potentially making it easier for the rest of your party to swarm them. This is only one part of your control kit. This is only our 3rd level spells, by the way. Additionally, we have Dimension Door and Polymorph. Dimension Door is a necessary movement option. Polymorph is a necessary shutdown option. It's a great way to say, hey DM, you are now a turtle. And next we have Dominate Person, another shutdown spell. Hold Monster, another shutdown spell. Synaptic Static, a great support spell because it's not concentration but has lingering effects all the same. If they fail the saving throw, they take damage. Additionally, they have to subtract a d6 from all attack rolls and ability checks for a minute and while they repeat that saving throw. This is a great spell to cast turn 2. Once you've hit them with Hypnotic Pattern, Slow, Polymorph, or whatever the hell you want, hit them with Synaptic Static. It's not concentration. It's a great way to ruin someone's day. And additionally, we have from our Magical Sequence Wall of Force, one of the more necessary control spells in the game. You create an invisible wall of force, springs into existence at a point you choose within range. The wall appears in any orientation you choose, as a horizontal or vertical barrier or at an angle. It can be free floating or resting on a solid surface. You can form it into a hemispherical dome or a sphere with a radius of up to 10 feet. You can shape a flat surface made up of 10 10-foot by 10-foot panels. Each panel must be contiguous with another panel. In any form, the wall is 1/4 inch thick. It lasts for the duration. If the wall cuts through a creature's space when it appears, the creature's pushed to one side of the wall, your choice which side. Nothing can physically pass through the wall. It is immune to all damage and can't be dispelled by dispel magic. A disintegrate spell destroys the wall instantly, however. The wall also extends into the ethereal plane, blocking ethereal travel through the wall. So this is a great spell. It allows you to trap people inside of it. You can trap off whole sections of an army. You can trap off a whole bunch of minions. You can dome an entire boss inside of it, acquiring a disintegrate spell, which is not a lot of people take. I take it because I'm cool. Having an invincible wall that you can spawn anywhere. I don't think I need to tell you exactly why that's good. It is concentration though, so you're going to have to pick between Hypnotic Pattern, Slow, and Wall of Force to have. But I recommend having Wall of Force as an option. It can be both a defensive option for your party. It can be an offensive option against your opponents. It's great. This doesn't even require a saving throw. You just spawn a wall. Cranking 90s in Fortnite. Next, we have Disintegrate. I've mentioned this. Disintegrate is just a good spell. It kills things. It does damage. You need a damage option. You need a damage option in D&D, in my opinion. You can't just be only one thing. Having a damage option is a great way to always put pressure on your Dungeon Master, but it is still using saving throws, so it still fits within the theme of the build, as well as still forcing your Dungeon Master to either avoid it or face the wrath of portents and unsettling words. Is true seeing for stuff. Teleport to get out of jail free. Feeble anti-magic field to counter other spellcasters. Feeble mind in order to screw somebody over entirely. This is another spell that I, as a dungeon master, often saving my legendary resistances for, as well as I really don't want to get hit with. This is a great way to get rid of an enemy from a fight. And finally, True Polymorph and Wish. If you already have a Simulacrum from the previous day that is still standing and has most of its resources, you're going to want to keep True Polymorph on hand, because nothing is funnier than turning something into something else. Permanently, by the way. You can turn one of your party members at this point into a dragon forever. If that's what you want, you can have it. You can also use this on your Simulacrum. But this is what we have. This kit is brutal. Overall, the main thing I'm trying to get across with this build, between you and your Simulacrum, you can be supporting your party members with your Bardic Inspiration dice. Between Unfailing Inspiration, Infectious Inspiration, and just your Bardic Inspiration in general, you have a near limitless amount of inspiration to give out to your party. You can be throwing them out like candy. Additionally, on top of this, you have Unsettling Words, which will be your offensive part of your toolkit, forcing your Dungeon Master either to spend legendary resistances on frivolous things, or they're going to suffer the effects of Hypnotic Pattern and Slow, especially if you're affecting creatures en masse. You can target specific mini-bosses, you can target enemies that you just particularly don't like. And then you have Portent, which doesn't require a reaction, it's just for free. You can just say, you actually rolled a 5, congratulations, you fail. I think this build is incredibly cool, and it's not exactly the most novel. I'm not going to try and state that I'm the only one who's doing this, because I'm not. I just think that this is a unique way to get your resources to work for you and to have so many resources between you and your simulacrum. You can have 2 concentration spells going at once between you and your simulacrum. You can wall of force people and slow them at once. You can wall of force people and disintegrate them. You can hypnotic pattern them and then disintegrate them. You have a bunch of shutdown spells like Feeble Mind. Your toolkit is immense for tackling any of the problems that you're going to be facing as a player. And between all of this, as a cherry on top, you have a solid armor class, a decent initiative score, good constitution saving throws, con saves, dex saves, and charisma saves. There's a lot of great things about this build. Obviously, some of its weaknesses are its wisdom saving throw is bad. That's a big problem that you're going to need to overcome. Additionally, while you have a solid amount of HP, you don't have an exorbitant amount of HP, so make sure you're managing that. And it doesn't deal a great deal of damage. It does have abilities and ways to deal damage, but that's not its primary focus. But overall, this is a build that I would be terrified to face as a Dungeon Master. If I was going up against this, I would be definitely thinking of ways of, I'd definitely be considering this build as something that I need to deal with when considering the threat level. Also, look at this character design. I think this is sick. It's like the devil went down to Georgia, but they're hot, you know? And that's kind of, I think, the aesthetic that I've always wanted in my life. And, ooh, I should probably rate this build. I used to do that, and then I forgot for a little bit. I'm gonna rate this build. I think this build is a 9 out of 10. And the best part about this build, it doesn't need to be a level 20. The simulacrum is a nice touch, but it doesn't need to be level 20 for it to be effective. This build comes fully online. You have all your necessary features by level 7. This is a really accomplishable build. 5 levels in Bard, 2 levels in Wizard. What more could you ask for? I personally am excited to play this build eventually one day. But let me know what you guys think. If you like this build, please remember to check out my Patreon. Watch my other build videos. I make bunches of them. Like and subscribe, bing the bell, tell all of your friends. This build is super easy to get going, super easy for it to work, super easy for it to get to be accomplished within a relatively quick span of time. So if you are interested in playing this build, let me know in the comments. Once again, check out my Patreon. Get the fuck out of my house.